hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I am your host tonight, Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy, and I am joined by my good friend, Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. And returning guest to the podcast is Jordan Mosley.
What's up? What's up?
Hey, yeah, Jordan, what's going on, man?
Not much. I need to get me a good nickname.
You do?
Or I just need to tell y'all, make up my own nickname.
Oh, self-proclaimed. I like it.
Yeah,
I like
y'all
it.
wouldn't know.
No, we would not. You'd be like, oh, yeah, they've been calling this for like a decade or 30 years or
Just
whatever.
switch around, Mojo.
Ooh, Mojo Jojo.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I feel like it's got to be something turtle related. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll think of something.
Yeah. Well, by the next time, that's your homework for the next podcast.
Okay.
You got to come and make up your own
Good
nickname.
deal. I'm in.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, let's get down to the business here. I appreciate everybody tuning in and listening. Please go ahead and follow, like, subscribe, all that jazz on social media. At Royal Geek Pod is our handle. You can see our YouTube page as well, Royal Geek Podcast. Yeah. So we appreciate you guys for listening. We are here to talk about the penultimate episode of The Acolyte. So we've made it here. We made it 7 episodes in.
Yep.
Been a very wild ride as far as
Quality.
quality. Yep. Thank you, Shamato. Yeah, so we're going to give a spoiler warning. And the title of episode 7 was Choice. So suck on that, T-Roll. Got the title right there. So anyway, which this was a flashback episode.
Yes.
Who doesn't want a flashback episode in the penultimate episode, right? Am I wrong,
Yep.
guys? I cannot stand the fact that they did a freaking... Anyway, that might give away my thoughts. So we did spoiler warning. We're going to go ahead and dive right in. General thoughts on the episode. I kind of gave you mine a little bit. I was very shocked that they did the entire episode as a flashback. And not only that, they did a flashback episode, but they showed us almost everything that was in episode 3. Like they added on to it, but then continued the scene. And I was like, we could have condensed this down, people in charge, and just put in all the new information because we saw episode 3.
Yep.
Well, what they really should have done is they should have used the flashback as a framing device and had Soul telling May the story.
Beautiful.
Because at this point, like, they're doing this flashback, so they're giving us all this information, but May and Osha still don't have this information. The two people that actually need this information to make their decision, to understand their lives, to understand what's going on, are not getting this information.
Yep. So true, man.
So, like, why not, like you were saying, why not cut those bits that were already there and have them work in and have Soul, you really have some emotional work with May as he's, even just have him, like, with her tied down and, like, he's just talking to her, he's telling her what happened, he's actually letting her in on what happened on their time.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's great. And, like, you could have had some really big emotional cues. For example, when they flash back to this is definitely jumping around, but where May witnesses Soul kill her mom, right?
Yeah.
That could have been a cutscene over to her laying on the bed, chained up, like screaming, "No!" Like because she's remembering the actual, like, what she saw, and then she's remembering, and then Soul's kind of telling the story of what actually happened through his point of view.
Yeah.
So, like, that would have been a great emotional cue that we could have kind of, like, built around, but we didn't get it that way. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I also think that, like, they have a chance to do the funniest thing where, they use episode 3 to set up episode 7, and then episode 8 is going to be Soul telling Osha.
Oh no!
They're going
The same
to
thing. The whole episode is
and
just
they're going to
that.
say, they're going to be like, okay, now you tell her what you told me, and then they're going to flash the exact same freaking episode.
Oh my gosh! That
my.
that would not surprise me at this point. To be honest with
die.
you, that would definitely not surprise me.
One thing I didn't like, and you brought it up, they didn't start or end outside of the flashback.
Thank you. Yes.
And, like, I noticed it, and I was like, that felt really weird. Like you were saying, like they could have just started it at least with him beside the bed again.
Yeah.
They went right in, and it just felt weird.
It did.
Yeah,
It felt out
even
of
if we
place.
didn't want to, like, jump back and forth, literally just have it at the beginning and make it seem like, oh, this is just him telling the story.
Correct. Yeah.
Of what was happening, but no. So, of course, what we'll probably see is like they'll be like, oh, and that's how this happened at the beginning of episode 8.
Yeah.
Like, and it make no sense that like they don't set it up, they don't
Add
do
to
anything.
it,
It doesn't make any sense why. It's like, oh, why couldn't you just be like lead us into it, knowing that this is an actual flashback? Because this isn't a flashback. It's like by definition, this is not a flashback.
Right.
It is just this is what happened in the past. Because a flashback implies that a character is either remembering or that someone is telling what happened.
Yeah.
So a flashback is actually not what is happening at all.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's not. It's just, and that's the problem. I think.
Yeah.
This episode just did not. For me, it was not favorable. And I know, Jordan, are you a little higher? You're a little higher on
Yeah,
it.
I watched. So, had it not been for like y'all's episodes, and then knowing I'm going to be on here, I wouldn't pay half as much attention to the show as I am. But like I watched the episode, once yesterday, once today, and then I've watched some other people like just giving me different context on it.
Yeah.
So that's helped kind of at least soften it a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Just giving people smarter than myself, and honestly some of them smarter than I believe the people that are making the show, like their opinions, they help. So yeah, I'm kind of meh on this one.
Gotcha. And Shamato, your overall sense of this?
Um,
You cheated, right? Because you watched episodes 6 and 7 back to back.
Yeah, I watched them back to back.
Yeah, so-
Which I do think I think it did give me a little higher idea of 7 because I liked 6. I liked 6 way more than I liked 7.
Yeah.
I think my biggest issue with 7 overall, I won't get into specifics yet, but I'll just say I just feel like the whole coven does not work.
Yeah.
Story wise, it doesn't work. Like the acting is really, 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 really subpar.
Child actors
in
this episode.
and
Yeah.
it's not it's the 4 main coven related actors, which are the two children and the 2 moms are they're just not good.
Yeah.
They're all landing flat and over dramatic, and it's just not working with me.
That's I'll bring it up now so I don't crap on it again later. But as I was watching it the second time, I was just realizing the levels of acting in this.
So off the charts,
There's
right?
I was thinking of there's 2 that I think have really stood out, and that's Indara. She's solid. I specifically watched for that Torben dude from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He has a few scenes in this that were really good. They're not as they're not cheesy.
Yeah.
And then I think Kymir, kind of when he got into the role of that.
Yeah, the
Yes,
quote-unquote
when he was
role.
when he was actually
Revealed.
himself, I actually feel like he's been pretty solid.
Yeah, and before that, obviously, he had some purposeful screw ups that were
Goofball, yeah.
goofy. So maybe he is really good. But those are the 3 that are freaking carrying it.
Yeah.
Other than that, it has been rough to watch.
Yeah, the child actors in episode 3 and now in episode 7,
Yeah.
they were very tough to listen to and watch. Just some of the way they hit their dialogue and kind of their cadences, it just sounds just so
At the end, they
robotic.
were yelling their names back. It was
Oh, that was so
May,
stupid.
Osha,
That was
That was
so
bad.
stupid. I hated that.
And then
it was
they,
awful.
They specifically, I noticed they specifically changed the cadence, because they went back and forth twice, and then they cut, and they went back, and the other one started it. And I was like, okay, so this is just crap.
Yeah, I started turning the TV down when they were shouting. I was like, oh no.
And then at one point where she's like, "Mama,"
oh yeah,
Mama,
it
and she
sounded just like that.
God, it was. Then there was a one scene I think where right when she locked her in the room and set the fire, it was almost comedic how
she dropped the book.
Yeah, and then I guess it was Osha turned around, and it was just really goofy looking.
Yeah. One of the craziest things is in my mind, I'm almost aren't you supposed to be siblings in real life?
And
There is
are they?
no yes, and there is no chemistry.
No.
There's no chemistry between them. I would have never believed. I literally just looked up right now just to make 100% sure that this was not like me being like stupid.
Yeah.
But
And
I
it's
made
two
sure that
actors,
they
for
are.
sure.
It's two actors, and they have the same last name at the very least.
Oh my gosh.
So like,
that's
like
not good.
they, so there's no chemistry there.
Yeah.
Like they're not. They don't act like they've. I would think something like that would bleed over.
They literally
between-
shared a womb.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, like I would think at least even if the writing is poor, like I would think there would at least be a little bit of natural connection between the two of them. You know?
Well, I mean, the girl that that plays Osha and May, that's one person, and like
Right, correct.
but she doesn't even have chemistry with herself.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, I can understand that though because that's actually difficult.
Yeah, to be
Hey,
two
hey,
different
because
people.
Lindsay Lohan pulled that crap off.
Oh.
Okay,
Parent Trap.
Okay,
Yes.
yes, but Lindsay
That's
Lohan
amazing.
is actually a decent actor.
She was like 5. She was
like 12.
She was like 12.
She's yes,
Same
but
age as
she-
these girls. Same age as these girls.
Yeah,
Which,
like-
by the way, I just watched with my daughter like 2 days ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
amazing.
like
Lindsay Lohan's back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. there you go.
we needed it.
But yeah, like I mean, it's that I can actually get there. It is actually a very hard thing to do,
Yeah.
and especially because you're literally not playing off of your. There's no one to play off of. Even if there's someone saying they're saying the lines, it's not like the same. So I can at least understand that a little bit. These are literal siblings,
Yeah.
and
oh,
they
yeah.
and it's like they grew up in two separate households, and they were like.
One in Great Britain.
Yes,
One,
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
California
Separate,
Orchard.
One in Northern California, not in Southern California.
Okay, yeah,
they were in
Northern
Northern
Cal-
California.
no Cal.
They were in wine country. Remember that.
Nice. Yeah. No, that's been tough to watch for sure. All right. So normally on a penultimate episode, we like to play a little game, Jordan. So welcome to this game. It's a buy or sell. You've probably seen it on SportsCenter or any other sporting thing. But we're gonna do a buy or sell on some things we think or want to happen in the finale.
Okay.
All right. So I'm starting it off with: do we think Acolyte's getting a season 2? Buy or sell?
I'm gonna sell.
You're selling that one? Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't think so?
No.
All right, Jordan.
I'm a sell. I'm a sell.
All right, so
Of
you're
course,
both.
it's one question to say, do you think they will? It's another question to say, will they, or do they deserve?
Like the director, like she's already like gunning for it. Like, oh, if I get a chance to tell my whole story, like, okay,
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank
sure.
you.
Just
Please don't.
make excuses for yourself. Just
Yep.
tell a good story on your one big opportunity.
yeah,
How about
please
that?
don't do it.
Yeah. But I'm actually gonna buy that because
Disney.
It's Disney, and they like the drama around it, and it's having conversation. Whether or not the streaming numbers are there, we are talking about it. Like we literally
true.
made a huge mistake and decided to talk about Acolyte instead of House of the Dragon. I would much rather be talking about House of the Dragon right now because that episode 4 was absolutely
yeah.
incredible. Maybe in another universe, Jordan and I and Shimado are talking about House of the Dragon episode
Well,
4
they
right
need to
now.
stop airing their shows on Sunday night.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It conflicts with our scheduling podcast.
Yep.
But yeah. So anyway, so I do think the Acolyte is going to get a season 2.
Maybe it's just hope
begrudgingly.
on my part
That it'll get better, or
that won't have a season 2.
gotcha. All right, next question. Buy or sell? We are getting another flashback episode for the finale.
Oh my. Okay, so once again,
Not a flashback.
there, like I said, I don't believe there's been a single flashback episode
Yeah.
yet. I hope beyond hope that we do not have a flashback episode for this final episode. I'm gonna sell for
Yeah.
the sanity of anyone who ends up watching that episode.
All right, you're selling, Jordan.
I'm gonna buy.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna buy a Chimere.
Oh, okay.
Chimere, maybe not like a full focus.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so maybe like a little flashback,
Okay.
maybe, but like a full-on episode.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think it'll be full on,
Okay.
but I think
that's actually good, Jordan. I think that's a more plausible.
they've got to tie up one of they either have to tie up the coven and what the heck's going on there, or they've got to tie up
How does Chimera fit in?
I
there?
do have an
Yeah.
idea for that later on.
Okay, great. When we get that speculation, we'll do that. All All right, so and I'm actually going to go ahead and sell that too. I don't think we're going to get young May and Osha again. And if we do, I promise you, I might not be on the next pod. So
I may or may not be pro drowning of children if that's they show back up on that episode.
no, we do not condone the thoughts of Shamato. No, I was kidding. All right. Next question: buy or sell? Chimere will have a strong ending to his character in this finale. Buy or sell?
I have a feeling. What? Okay, so I have a feeling if you're going by strong, you mean like he's going to corrupt.
He'll be successful in what he does and his goal because of it being the Acolyte.
I'll say he's going to be successful because
All right, you're
he
buying
will be killed by either May or Osha, and they're going to take over that role and complete the idea of the rule of two of the apprentice killing the master.
Okay. All right. What about you, Jordan? Buy or sell?
I'm going to buy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
I think he has a strong finish.
Yes. Okay. I agree.
He's been building.
Yeah, he has been on like a freight train, I think, of quality character building, and I'm gonna buy on that too. So good, I'm glad. Shamato, we'll see. I really hope.
Yeah,
I hope you're wrong. Anyway,
I mean, I have an insane theory that would pretty much ruin their character. It would probably ruin the character for you.
oh jeez. All right, that's a little. We call that a foreshadow in the industry.
Yes.
No. All right. Let's see. Okay, next buy or sell question. Buy or sell. We will see May or Osha die. Buy or sell?
Sell.
Okay. You're selling that? Do you think they're both going to live?
Yeah, I think just like with the way that Star Wars thinks and with
They've
the way
killed a lot more people than I thought they would in this series.
Oh, they certainly have, but I think like with them being the way they're set up and the entire idea is like balance, and I think they are that level of balance that Star Wars is attempting to try in this show.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna sell. I don't think they've had enough screen time together to like fully, I guess, set up like the payoff for what they've done with having two characters and sisters. I don't think there's been enough for a payoff.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sell that one too. I think that there's more potential storylines for them if done right. we haven't seen that yet. They're kind of like the low bar right now, but there is a story there. All right, I got a fun one. All right. Buy or sell. We will see Basil with a lightsaber in this episode.
I'm gonna sell that.
Okay, you're selling that. You just can't picture this beaver-looking thing with a lightsaber.
I'm just like, I just don't feel that that's gonna end up like maybe will he have one technically in his hands, possibly, but I don't think he will turn it on or wield it in any sort of like noteworthy fashion.
Okay, all right, you're selling that one.
Yeah, I'm going to sell, but I do think I could see where like so it gets knocked out of someone's hand and he retrieves it.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
that.
that's kind of what I was like, kind of getting at there.
And it would, I mean, like there hasn't really been like huge comedic relief, but I mean, Pip has honestly been carrying the comedic relief, but. I think there's an opportunity there for like if Basil picks it up and like when he ignites it, like he flies back and drops the lights. I think that would give us a good chuckle. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a simple man. Just give me something a little more hearty. You know, a good chuckle. All right. Let's do a final one. All right, final buy or sell. Buy or sell. Sorry, I got something in my throat. All right. Soul will convince May to join the light side.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I'm gonna sell that.
Okay. All right. What about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm going to sell.
You think she's just too stubborn?
I think that there's not enough time.
Okay, so that would mean I'm gonna buy that because I want my storyline that I did not get in the sequel trilogies. I want the full swap of siblings. Okay, siblings / like Skywalker.
Your hero
offspring.
is a villain.
I want
your
my
villain
hero
is a
to
hero.
be the full turn, and I want my villain to make the full turn. I want that. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
I could see Osha more than May.
Yeah.
See,
Osha turning bad, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
well, I'm kind of thinking like, what if, OSHA knocks off Chimere
Mm-hmm.
and becomes the new master, and May becomes the apprentice, and they run as a sister.
Duo in the galaxy.
Yes.
Actually, you know what? You sparked one more. You sparked one more. Buy or sell. Buy or sell. All right. Chimere is the apprentice, and we are still waiting to see the reveal of the master.
Ooh.
Buy or sell.
I could buy that.
Okay.
Like,
Great.
he hasn't necessarily presented himself as like a full on like master.
He hasn't. Yeah.
So like role yet to me. So I could see him like being potentially not even like the like full on.
Awesome. Cool. Jordan.
I'm gonna sell.
You're gonna sell that.
Yeah, I think definitely plausible.
Okay.
And it'd be really cool. He just seems like more of like a one-off kind of guy.
So you feel like his end is coming in
Yep.
this next episode, whether it's him flying off into the sunset or dying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's like, obviously, I don't think he's like a Sith Lord,
Yeah.
but I just think he's kind of,
Well, he could be like the mini boss, which would make him like which would make sense in like the idea of like, oh, there is a master that's like overarching. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if we get the reveal, but
Yeah.
I definitely think that may make sense.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually gonna go ahead and buy that he is the apprentice. I do think they're gonna drop a cliffhanger on us and give us some sort of. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The master is so and so, and
Yeah.
then we're all gonna be eating out of the palm of their hands for next season.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. That
the
was
master's that random like Jedi that's with the really annoying Jedi.
Vernestra. You're
Yes.
talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, to the random dude that was with her.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, please no. All right. So that was buy or sell. I mean, thank you for tuning into that game. We always love playing that here on
Yeah.
the pod.
I liked it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm glad you took part in it. All right. So the writing in
Yes.
this episode, I feel like it was a little hit or miss, the quality of it. Right. I feel like the lead creator lacked a lot of focus, and
Yeah.
the reason that is because they're not drinking Magic Mind like we are, Shimado. Magic Mind is a great performance, a mental performance shot, and here's the funny thing. Okay, I started using Magic Mind months ago. All right, and it really does. I mean, this is surprising for me to even be sharing this because I'm not really like a health nut, but these mental performance shots are incredible for mental focus. I am in a work from home job right now, and a lot of times I'm staring at those computers and I am spacing out. And it sometimes makes for a rough go of the day. I end up bouncing back and forth, just not being able to focus. But since I started taking these mental performance shots, Magic Mind, I have noticed a significant amount of like honing in and dialing in on it. And I mean, a lot of that has to do with the one of the ingredients in there is lion's mane, and you're like, oh, what the heck is lion's mane, Justin? It's actually just named that way by the way it looks. It's actually an edible mushroom, and you're like, Justin's eating a mushroom that's called lion's mane. Yeah, no, it's actually it tastes delicious. It's like it's matcha flavored, and it is the lion mane really helps me focus in for the rest of my day. I mean, Shimano, Magic Mind helping you out too.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's been a really positive experience with getting a little more focus in my daily life as well. And I like the idea. I like the fact that it has some organic stuff in there because I'm not a huge organic fan, but when I get the chance to, if I get the opportunity, I like to do that. I like to add it in and, make that better decision on my choices when it is there for me. And this is a really easy way to make that positive health choice without having to do anything crazy like pay twice as much for those organic bananas or that organic fruit. This is a good way to throw in some organic, healthier healthier diet stuff.
Yeah, and there's just enough caffeine in there. There's like some natural like B12 in there that really you can feel that kind of start your day as well. So
I feel like y'all been holding out on me. I need to get some of this.
yeah, man. Well, speaking of getting some, man, I got an opportunity for you, and all of our listeners out there, you have an opportunity to get 3 free bottles for just the month of July alone. So you got to act now, right? If you use our promo code RoyalPodTrial, you can get 3 free bottles shipped to your house, and it's subscription. You'll get your three free bottles. You can cancel at any time, but trust me, once you try these 3 free ones, you're gonna notice something after that third day. You're gonna be like, I need some more of this stuff. So definitely use our promo code RoyalPodTrial. RoyalPodTrial. I'll have a link in our description for the episode. You'll be able to click on it, go straight there, and definitely check out Magic Mind. So that focus would have definitely helped with the writing of the show because I'm telling you, there's such sloppy writing in here, and I feel like it's because they did not have a clear understanding of what they were doing.
Yeah, I feel like what kind of happened is essentially as soon as the beginning of the episode didn't start out so rough, but I feel like as soon as they started focusing on the Coven, and because at the beginning of the episode you were kind of just focusing on the 4 Jedi and their mission on the planet, and I felt like it's gone pretty well with that. And then I feel like as soon as it turned towards the Coven, it like they stepped off a cliff.
Yeah.
And then the back end of the episode was really rough, especially on the writing end. I don't know if they just had a lot of trouble writing those characters or if they had a lot of trouble with the actors not being able to hit what they needed them to hit, or if not able to pull out the performances they were needing. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but it just seems like the back half of the episode was a huge step down from the beginning of the episode in my mind.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I feel like there were some things that were going on that were fairly decent. For example, well, this is actually a downside, but it turned into a decent performance. But Indara, she was getting ready to like kind of infiltrate, and she's like, I got to do it by myself. Which, first off, going into a coven with 50 witches, and you're going to enter by yourself. I mean, you got to be really badass or confident that you can handle yourself. And but then they were like, no, we go in as a team. Like just the way that was delivered, the way that we need to go in a team, and Darna like, no, like I got this, like that kind of thing. I just felt like there could have been like that should not have been it. Like the Jedi, I feel like are like they're peacekeepers. So I mean, yes, sending one person in would demonstrate peace. However, you've also seen the torture that they kind of did with like the marking of the daughters and that kind of stuff. So I don't know, man. That was like a very poor performance.
Well, I think in the end though, she ended up being right.
Because, she did.
Because I mean, Torben and Soul went in and like they were like they were good.
Yeah.
And then the voice work on the whenever what's the Wookiee's name?
Kelnaka.
Mm-hmm. Whenever he's like, you will not get in my mind. I'm fortified. And she's like, I'm not talking to you.
You're right.
Just weird.
Which was supposed to be like this big moment, but it
was so weird.
Yeah, it was rough.
For sure.
But if like Kilnaka had not been there, and like there wouldn't have been anybody to possess.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I was kind of like, you said you liked Torben's performance. I did, but then I also didn't at the same time. Like I feel like, yes, his performance was great when his mind was being taken over. I was just like, okay, he's struggling. He's a Padawan, a true Padawan, because he's not quite fully indoctrinated into the Jedi way.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to go home. He's kind of got all these bunch of emotions in him. And then he like ends up like, oh yeah, I do want to go home. He bows his knee, and then he gets taken over. But then later on is where we kind of see the like step up, where he's like, my mind is fortified now. I've kind of like learned my lesson. Like a true Padawan, he's learning from his environment around him. And then like I was like, okay, cool, I'm in on that. But it was a little bit hit or miss for me on that.
Yeah. I will say 2 good things that the 2 positives that I will take out of the episode are it doesn't feel like as much as they pulled the rug out under us on Andara's character now.
Yeah.
Because I do think especially after episode 1, you were kind of like, what the, like, one episode, literally the first 5 minutes, and she's dead.
Yeah.
Like, Carrie Ann Moss was like one of the top 3 people that were on the screen.
Yeah.
When anytime they showed it, and you were kind of like, it almost left a little like, what a bad taste in your mouth. Like, they were just trying to like show either the shock value from the very beginning, like, is it a shock scene that they were doing, or or were they just literally just trying to pull you in and make you feel stupid?
It's a trap.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So I do think they've lessened that by the fact that they had these 2 episodes that were shot in the past, and then the fact that we also finally got to see, even though it was a possessed version of him, we got to see Kelnaka and actually a Wookiee Jedi fight.
Yes.
Which I feel like was one of the things that I think once again we felt like we got cheated after episode 4.
Correct.
By the fact that he just got knocked off, and it was like, what is even going on right? You were like,
I believe I even mentioned it on the podcast.
Yeah,
like we got robbed.
Yes,
sure.
yeah. So I do feel like those were the 2 positives. I feel like that they, at least it doesn't feel as much like we got robbed of those 2 performances.
Yeah. Well, let's linger on Kanaka for a little bit, because that fight scene was pretty incredible.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
The choreograph was awesome. The fact that Soul and Torben versus Kelnaka, 2-on-1, just showing off the Wookiee strength.
Yep.
And then dude, Torben's face was just like a cheese board, dude, like grater. Like it was just
the scene with where Soul like jumped over his lightsaber, and like simultaneously slow-mo cut off his own lightsaber. Like that looked awesome.
Yes, it did. Soul's got some moves, man. He's got some moves.
Yeah, and like he really shines like in those in the fight scenes. Like he does a really good job. It's just the voice acting part. This is not quite there.
I think also like Torben, when he is being like choked by Kanaka, and Kanaka goes to like swing his lightsaber, and the fact that he got his arm there to block that, I was like, okay, Torben, you got a little fight in you, man. Like that's good.
But the thing is, I actually had a huge problem with that. It's like, okay, so you have this creature that is
overpowering
and notoriously extremely powerful, and a person who is, number one, a less trained version of your trade,
yes,
and a notably weaker species is able to offhand, underhand block your strike, and hold it there for a while.
Now,
maybe it wasn't like full Kilnaka though. Maybe like it was a watered down version. Because
maybe he was in his mind fighting, and so he didn't have.
Watch
the full...
that scene again, and when he does it, you'll actually hear like the Force being used in that. Like you'll see, like their swords or lightsabers are up against each other, and you can actually hear the
warbling.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I kept seeing.
And so I was led to believe that Torben was using the Force along with his lightsaber to kind of hold him off long enough for somebody to jump in there and save him.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, but also like Kelnaka is a more trained Jedi.
Kelnaka could have snapped his neck with his hand. That's what he could have done.
Yes.
But it's a plot device. Like
Yes.
that's all it is. It's just to keep him alive, just long enough to move on to the next scene. That's
Yes.
all it is. Indara, how do we feel about Indara coming in, saves the day by literally using the Force to go into Kelnaka's head, and then therefore link up to all the witches who are doing this stupid side-to-side seance? Like, did they have to put the weirdest looking one up front? Did they really have to do that?
Yeah, that I was trying to think who she reminded me of. She looked like somebody else.
She looks like, you've never seen her before, but she looks like my abuelita, like a little old Mexican lady.
That's
is
it.
what she
Your
looked like.
abuelita.
That's what she looked like. I was like,
Look at Mama Coco.
basically, yes, basically, Mama Coco. That's what she looked like. But Indara reaches through the Force into Kelnaka's head, into their heads, and then whatever she does knocks them all out. Which, therefore, the question we asked in that episode 3 is: they didn't look like they were killed by lightsabers. How were they killed?
Yep.
Well, this is why. This is how they were killed.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? On if it was like how that happened?
I think it was a little weak sauce. Like, if you're like, okay, so essentially what they're saying is, I felt like I feel like okay, they knocked out all these witches, and then they make it actually. I think it is so much better of a job of like what happened with the fire, because the fire still doesn't make sense. The fact that it grew that big that quickly, even now, like
Yeah, and more of a metal structure. Too.
yeah, like it didn't make sense for that it spread the way it did. It's so. It definitely made it look like there was somehow supposed to be foul play, but they kind of like just left it at the fact that May set the fire and that apparently so the building falls and it kills all the witches along the way.
Right.
Is apparently what happens. And that just does. It seems like
You didn't buy
really
it.
like
You didn't
it was
feel
just like okay. I mean, I guess I understand what you did there, but you know the intrigue that you were trying to pull
Yeah.
after episode 3, it doesn't land. Like if you're gonna wait 3 episodes, you got to do something to make that like make more of an impact than it did.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out because like the build up to this, I mean I've liked the build up of like the mystery of what are they also ashamed of.
Yeah.
So like I don't regret that part, but I don't feel like anything they did was so egregious
Right,
that
that
like one someone's hunting them 16 years later.
Yeah.
Or like
You're in a trance.
Kilnaka went and Kilnaka's hanging out in the woods by himself. You're in a trance
A
for all these
meditative
years.
trance
Yeah,
for.
to tell you the truth, the only character
wild,
that
Jordan.
should feel anything is the one who seems to feel like the least about it, and that's Soul.
Yeah, actually,
Like,
it's a good
like,
point.
like he's the only one that really like, and I get the whole like idea of whatever he was doing. Maybe that was just a reaction, and that like maybe
Yeah.
you're supposed to feel something for him there. But out of everything that happens,
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I'm like,
Well,
there was a mistake really made
well,
on their
let's
part.
talk about the series of events that Soul has here.
And then later, what he does too, like both of those things are the only things that I feel like.
Right. Well, the series of events for Soul is that he has confronted Anessa, right? The mom, one of the moms.
Anasea, yeah.
Anasea, there you go. Anasea. And Coral's right there. And
Yes.
she goes like vapor mode. Like she looked like Cloak from Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah.
And he literally like stabs it because it's scary looking and
Yeah.
he kills her, right? There's that. And then he transitions into going after Osha and May, and then he is holding up Osha and May with each hand and is not strong enough to hold them both. So he
Yes, so he
makes
has to make the choice.
The choice to save Osha over May, and then therefore he uses 2 hands
Yes.
to save Osha, and May falls to not her death.
Which to tell you the truth, if this had been played out better, that could have been a phenomenal scene.
Yeah.
Like that, like the idea of like him finally, like especially if this had been a flashback, and like in this moment, you see him just like breaking down in front of May, and he finally was just like, "I'm sorry, in the moment, I knew I couldn't save both of you." So
Another great
like,
emotional cue that we missed
like
out on.
yes,
man.
like and he just essentially just lays himself to bear, and then like in that moment, maybe like you see him just like unclick her, like he puts his lightsaber down on like across the room, comes over to her and just like unlocks her cuffs and just like essentially leaves, maybe goes into like the traditional like meditation pose of a Jedi, and just like essentially leaves himself at the mercy of May in that moment.
That's good, man.
To give her like, especially if they're trying to make her switch to the good side.
Correct.
Like that would be a great moment for her to finally like have that choice of, do I want to be on the good side? Do I want to be on the bad side? Like
To
something
play in
like
the
that.
title as well. We could have had an episode where everybody is making a choice that impacts the future that they're
Yes.
dealing with. But we see that to a minor degree, but we don't really see that play out.
Yeah.
Man, that's good, Shimano. That's good, some good stuff. So that's the kind of like the series of events for Soul. And then when they get back with Osha in the med bay, and Dara's like, we tell them the truth. We tell them exactly what happened. May set fire to everything and killed. It killed everybody. Which
Yes.
is not the truth. You killed
Yeah.
everybody because of your mental assassination of these witches, and then Soul straight up killed the mothers.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, what were your thoughts on that? The fact that Indara, like, she basically, I mean, she lied. Unless
Yeah.
it's her truth, I don't know.
I think it's a.
I think it's like a playing around the edges of the truth, because I think they firmly believe that the witches died from the fire. Maybe they were knocked out by Indara, but the actual act of
killing.
killing was done by the fire. Number one, and I think they felt like the mothers were killed justifiably
So
in
they did it in
action.
defense, is what you're saying? Like,
Yes,
yeah.
like, and I think a lot of it was Indara was trying to protect Soul in that moment of she felt like he was a good Jedi, and that in this moment it would have done nothing good for him or for the council for him to be put in a position of being punished for this, especially from the idea of, and it wouldn't have done nothing good for Osha, like in that sense of like the one person that she still has connection with is on trial for killing everyone that she knows, so it's kind of like this idea of it would have done nothing good for Osha, it wouldn't have been good for Soul, it wouldn't have been good for the Jedi Order. Like, I feel like Indara in that moment was making the hard leader choice.
Yeah.
And whether it was the morally good choice is another, like, another line, in my opinion here. But I think she was making the choice of the leader right there and what was best for everyone involved.
Yeah. And yeah.
There was I was telling you earlier, I watched something today that kind of helped frame the episode a little bit better for me. So it was talking about how one of the focuses was about subjective versus objective. And like you were saying, it's not necessarily a flashback because it's coming from different people's perspectives of the same events. So one of the things that was really cool was when Mother Coral, whenever like Soul's like hiding behind the tree there, then first sees them. If you watch episode 3 compared to episode 7, it was a complete different interaction. It wasn't a mistelling of the episode 3 interaction. It was perspective. So like Soul's perspective, if you notice in that, he was very, like, she was super aggressive because she pops up behind the tree and she like lays into him. But the episode 3 version was not that. It was more nurturing. And then the same thing when he was creaking by the like up on the catwalk.
Yeah.
Right after, I think it was like he snuck into their headquarters. And
When he catches like Anastasia training them.
Yeah.
because she pushes them down, and like that's all he saw.
Yeah. He
was
didn't see
that side of it.
the teaching beforehand.
So like talking about like Indara, like this, like she, from her point of view, she may think like she did the right thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. And I think going back and looking at that would have maybe given it a slightly bump in my eyes. But but yeah, no,
But that third episode's that is rough to watch.
Oh yeah, I did not watch. I fast forwarded through and hit the high point. I did not rewatch it.
Yeah, that's smart. Very smart. All right, so basically that's the episode. Did we miss anything at the end here? The one thing I did not like. Okay, the one thing I did not. I think I mentioned at the beginning, but it really pissed me off. They're telling the different perspectives from the Jedi, but then they include the regular scenes that were in episode 3. Like, I really like that. That did not sit well with me. I feel like it just added on to a very short runtime already. Like, yes, you turn it on, it says 43 minutes, but then the credits start rolling at 34 minutes. I'm like, okay, what are we doing here, guys?
And then you had 5 minutes of essentially just doubling up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. They could have used that time to either frame it in the form of flashback storytelling, or they could have given us, more substance. I guess I don't know, but
there was like it felt to me like a a poor man's version of like Back to the Future 2. So like in Back to the Future, like you get things from different perspectives, but you see the overall like how it plays into it. But like even in this, like you don't see Soul
That's a great point, actually.
in the background at all. Like you don't see any of the other like little things or what was one Harry Potter. When
Oh yeah.
the-
That would have
yeah,
been
yeah.
that would
With
probably
Time
played a little
Turner.
better. Yeah.
yeah, like that to me, I mean, it was done like perfectly. Like you know, Hermione's throwing the rock through the window that crashes, and then you see the other side of it. Like we didn't get any of that. Like there was a little bit of the creakiness
Soul,
on the
Soul
on the
had two scenes, the cracking of the trees in the woods. But
Yeah.
it wasn't done. I
Yeah.
think like artistically. I don't know. They could
Yeah.
you could have told a really good time story in,
Yeah,
in this
definitely.
as well.
They could have,
Yeah.
if they were so inclined.
Focused.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
All right. So what do we think is gonna happen here in this finale? Like, are they gonna land this plane? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know.
I do have like okay, so I have one extremely out on left field theory,
Oh, here we go.
like really far out on left field,
Okay.
like
There's
I
your
mean,
warning.
legitimately be in
listeners.
another county,
Okay.
like that type of stuff.
Darth Jar Jar.
Oh, let's do it.
The possibility that Kymir is a reincarnation of Mother Anastasia
Okay.
because he has
He knows
that
so much.
he knows so much. He was betrayed by a Jedi. He has a wound pretty close to looking like what could have happened with a lightsaber through like the chest out the back, which was how Mother Anastasia was, of course, killed in this episode.
Right.
And he's very like dodgy about his past in general.
Yeah.
Like when she's questioning him in episode 6, he's very like he's very like, oh, this. I'm older than than I look. Like that kind of stuff. Like, is it like the possibility that he is some sort of a reincarnation of her?
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's definitely left field for sure. It would be interesting if they could actually pull that off, but I'm worried with the writing that we've seen so far that that's not going to happen. On the pod last week, Shamato, you weren't here, but I believe it was Steven that said it and like kind of ignited me and T-Roll, and then Jordan had texted me earlier today about this, but the markings on Kymir's back were Vernestra's lightsaber whip, and so that she's the Jedi that abandoned Kymir. So
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
yeah, no, that was the
I'm
almost the exact
buying
reaction.
that
Yeah.
one for sure.
Oh yeah. I think I feel that as well, but the left field one, we've seen the Coven of Witches, and then even like iterations of the Night Sisters in other forms, like
It was kind of cool seeing
possess.
Torvin like actually mention Night Sisters.
Yes, that
in
was
the
nice.
episode.
Yes, that was good. And then, we didn't even mention this, but the Virgins event that created the twins.
Yes.
I know. I'm like now we're all so sporadic here, but like that is in direct relation to like a Star Wars Legends novel, which now this is now canon to have Virgins event that they use the Force Virgins event to create the sisters, except like they created one body and then split it into two, which is what the M count revealed, that they were the exact same.
Yes.
Which is pretty interesting. So, which we get midichlorianed again.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know how they're gonna like make this series good with one episode left. I just don't. I think we just gotta take our L, watch this last episode, and then just like fade out into the sunset. Like,
Yeah. But not like Mother Anastasia. Hopefully we do not get stabbed.
yeah.
I think I don't think they have enough time to land everything that they've kind of set up. Not that they're like in a Game of Thrones way where they spun this magnificent web. I just think they were so far out there and just throwing like spaghetti at a wall.
Yeah.
I hope they land Kymir. Like
I do too.
that's
do
like
too.
Yeah.
really all I care about at this point. Just tell me more about that.
Yeah.
It would be, I mean, because I think there's a lot of, that's the one like part that really has me intrigued right now is like, out of the entire series is like Chimera has been a very interesting character so far.
Yes.
Other
I
than
agree
that, it's been lackluster for the most part.
they haven't given him enough time to shine. Like I
No.
mean, yes, he's been a highlight reel for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, he needs some more to do, more work to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I'm gonna go in with a very, very low bar and then see how it comes out. Now, something interesting is, do we think the finale will actually be long enough? Because we've seen a lot of 30 minutes and 30 minutes and 40 minutes. Like, are we actually going to push 50
No.
or even cross over the hour mark?
No.
No.
What amount of time do you feel like they need in order to land this ship?
2.5 hours.
A movie.
Yeah, we're gonna
Right.
finish on
Yeah.
a movie here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be a 3-hour Horizon, chapter 1, and then the part 2 gets pulled from theaters.
We
Love
need
that.
Justice League. We need
Oh, the Zack Snyder
Zack
cut.
Snyder
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah. Oof. Oh, what's the longest movie? You should know this one, Shimado. Something Truth or something Lies. Ooh, I don't know. Okay, it's like 10 hours long.
Oof.
Oh wow.
I don't know. I don't remember. I know I watched it and it was black and white. So
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Any final thoughts on this episode or the series in general, fellas?
I'm hoping for just don't end with a fart. Like I understand that with what has been built right now, you may not be able to land like heroically, but just like solid.
Yeah.
Like just get yourself, an okay ending, and I'll be like that. That is what I am hoping for. This show has set its own set of standards
Yeah.
that you kind of got to play by at the moment. So just don't drop lower than that. Okay.
They've boxed themselves in.
Yes.
basically.
I hope that it's not a. I hope the directors, and not really directors, but showrunners, like they don't use it as like a moment to try to set up their next job.
Yeah.
Like as a, for a second season. Like I hope they don't purposely leave it as a cliffhanger just
They will.
so that it gets
They will.
renewed. Like,
Yeah.
but there's cliffhangers that are like, okay, that makes sense. Like I want more.
Right.
I just hope they don't just try to set up a second season for the heck of it or
Yeah.
for the money.
Well, the only thing I will say
they will.
is,
They will.
I think the only reason, I think that there's enough power behind that. If there's a cliffhanger, there's a reason for it,
Yeah.
and that's because Disney wants there to be a cliffhanger there. Like I don't think.
Disney's running the show.
Yeah, like I would like whoever's name is up there. That's not really who's telling. Like
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, we want a cliffhanger. We want season 2.
Yeah.
Or we want this to be a closed-ended story.
Yeah.
Like we want this to be an Obi-Wan. Like we
Yeah.
want you to be, this wants to be a bookend. I don't want there to be any loose ends. I think this will tell us a lot about how Disney felt about the series going into it. To tell you the truth,
Yeah.
is like either did they feel like they had faith in it, or were they it'll be interesting to think like where they actually had more faith. If it's a bookend and they were like, oh, they felt like they could tell enough story, or is it a bookend, yeah, we knew where this was going,
Yeah.
like this is just
Here's
we're
something
just
to
ending
think about.
it.
Here's something to think about. You talk about faith, Disney's faith in the series, right? Andor, 3 episodes in, they had already announced renewal for the second season.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
they had already done that, and didn't happen with Acolyte. So there's clearly something going on that they're not as confident as.
And with Andor, that was after one release.
Yes, correct.
Because they dropped those first 3 episodes all together.
In one day.
Because we were kind of like, what's going on?
What are they doing?
3
Yeah.
episodes. And then you're like, oh, they know what they're doing. Those 3 episodes together makes sense.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. All right, cool. I think we've talked enough about episode 7. All right. Come back next week as we talk about the finale of season 1 / series. We don't know yet. hopefully we'll have an answer by next week. So we really appreciate you guys listening. Give us a like, follow, 5-star rating. Jordan, I don't see you giving us 5-star yet. I don't know. Anyway,
Have you earned it yet?
Probably
You
not.
have. You have.
Probably not. So
He's like, you guys let me on here. I'm not sure if that's showing good enough judgment.
It says a lot about y'all.
you know who you are. Yeah. We really appreciate it. Follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod. We have big things in store still. We have a really big collab coming up with another podcast in a couple weeks. So actually, maybe is it next week or 2 weeks?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
next
next week.
Yeah, how about that? It won't be the next episode, really. It might be. I don't know. Well, we got another collab coming. So anyway, so we appreciate you for Shamato, Jordan, special guest. Thank you so much for being here,
Thanks
sir.
for having me.
And myself, we like to thank you for listening, and we will see you next time, you peasants.